halfway across the world.
These aren't historical figures. They're not people on a screen.
Are lessons that nothing but being there can teach.
They're not words in a book. They're people.
20 College of the Ozarks students experienced history brought to life.
Their stories affect our stories, and we wouldn't be here now without them. As
5 brave Vietnam War veterans returned to a country many thought they'd left behind for good.
And I said, I've got to give this a try.
This was Colonel John Clark's 3rd trip back to the place where decades ago he'd spent 6 years in captivity.
We said, we know we can do one thing that we couldn't do before, and that's turn around and walk out.
American prisoners of war like Colonel Clark call it the Hanoi Hilton. The most infamous prison camp of the Vietnam War may look much different today, but its gray walls hold memories that will never be let go.
How small the rooms were, how the cells were with the leg stocks, the little doors in the front that the guards would whip open when they thought we were tapping on the wall and communicating. And I'll have to say, of course, we were. They got to see the nastiness of it. There wasn't the mold and on the walls. There wasn't the big rats.
Standing in the very place where Colonel Clark endured such brutal treatment, he relived unimaginable moments and shared his stories.
Just seeing where he got to walk through and what he had to go through, especially happening right there, was really hard. And I'm really thankful that we got to see that all and hear it all.
The prison was just one of many sites the group toured throughout the 12-day trip, the veterans sharing stories every step of the way.
One of the veterans we got to meet with, Eddie, we got to see where he literally got shot in the streets of Hawaii. And he was 17 years old.
The purpose of this trip is primarily education. Courageous veterans teaching firsthand what service and sacrifice looks like. But just because it's meaningful doesn't mean it's always easy.
I think some of them are looking for a sense of closure. You heard some of the students talk about how this group was so open and willing and didn't have a hard time dealing with their experiences in Vietnam, or so it seemed while they were there. We have had other groups where veterans have been fairly reluctant to talk once they get over there. They thought they were going to do better than they actually did with being able to face going back to that country where they fought.
Students say because of this trip, they gained a new respect for veterans.
It's an overwhelming feeling of gratitude as they're telling you their stories, and you're at the places where they were, and you're seeing the things they saw.
That's why the College of the Ozarks recognizes these trips as a powerful opportunity to reinforce one of the 5 pillars of the college: patriotic education.
Hands-on learning. You're seeing it, you're feeling it, you're walking the footsteps of where those people were. Traveling, to me, is a hugely educational opportunity that can open your eyes to different things in the world. So they're seeing culture, they're seeing patriotism, they're working hard to get there. A trip like this hits all of the pillars of the college.
But it wasn't just the history lessons and the greater appreciation for our American heroes that students took away.
I was expecting to go on the trip and work with the veterans and expect them to get all the healing. I didn't expect to come back from the trip and be like, oh my gosh, I have grown so much.
Also learning that everything we experience can shape us, but we determine how.
Watching how they approach life and what they've learned from their experiences and how they turn those bad to good and how they share them. So it's kind of like it gave me a new perspective on how you approach the hard things in life.
Examples of lives lived well with such great purpose.
Military service aside, you're one of the wisest people I've ever met.
Now being shared across generations.
You may be off the trip, but I've got people that are mentors.
Brought together by a place that holds heartache, yet through this trip and these relationships, making an impact for good.
All the emotional side to things is what really made it hit. The good, the bad, the crying, the happy, the sad, all of it.
Reporting for KY3's The Place, I'm Kadee Brosseau.